Today we'll be looking at painting through history, looking at portraits mostly, to take a look at faces through history. Artists have a way of conveying emotions through the expressions of their subjects, alongside the background and motifs. We'll be taking a closer look at some of these paintings and talking about them. The first painting on this list is, of course, Ivan the Terrible and his son Ivan. It was painted by Russian realist painter Ilya Repin. The painter depicts an emotional scene, the grief-stricken Ivan the Terrible cradling his dead son. Ivan the Terrible had just in the preceding moments struck his son in a fit of anger. If you get closer to this painting, you'll be able to really appreciate the emotions present in this piece. The shock in Ivan the Terrible's wide-eyed gaze is apparent, and his son has one tear rolling down his dying face. This classical painting by Baroque artist Artemisia Gentileschi is one of her most iconic works. The painting portrays a scene from the Old Testament where Judith assassinates the general Holofernes. Gentileschi's body of work consists of strong women, and Judith Slaying Holofernes is one of many. This scene in particular is one that has been depicted by many artists, classical and modern alike. Another artist who depicted this scene is Caravaggio. If you compare Gentileschi's Judith to Caravaggio's Judith, you'll notice some slight differences. Where Caravaggio's Judith looks slightly disgusted, Gentileschi's Judith just looks ready to get the work done. Our next painting is The Last Day of Pompeii. The Last Day of Pompeii by Karl Bryullov is a history painting depicting the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. The painting style is positioned such as being between neoclassicism and romanticism. Bryullov shows the people of Pompeii trying in vain to shield their families. If you look closely at the faces in this painting, there's a lot of emotion on each one. They are all desperate to escape this futile fate, and you can see it in their expressions. Our next painting is Selfportrait in Hell by Edvard Munch. Edvard Munch's Self-Portrait in Hell shows how the artist perceived his current state, in hell. Munch's naked figure is in the foreground, painted with greens and yellows and oranges, expressing an anxiousness in the frenzy of brushstrokes. The background looks hellish in origin, all fire and brimstone in its orange and red and blacks. Munch's expression in this painting really pops out, his eyes staying with the viewer, seeming to call out from the depths of hell. This list would be incomplete without Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, of course. This classic painting draws the viewer in with that elusive smile. Mona Lisa looks at you approvingly, warmingly at one time, and then disapprovingly, coldly another. The Mona Lisa's enigmatic smile has been the source of many other artists' inspirations. One such artist is Marcel Duchamp. Duchamp, for example, produced a copy of the painting with a mustache and a beard. The letters LHOOQ penned underneath. LHOOQ translates phonetically as, she has a hot arse, but also relates to an idiomatic expression of fire down below. Our next artist is Lenora Carrington. Lenora Carrington was an Anglo-Mexican surrealist painter. Her paintings often have references to dreams, tarot, and alchemy. In this painting, Self-Portrait by Lenora Carrington, Carrington places the hyena by her as a representation of something both male and female. In this case, it is a metaphor for the world of nighttime and dreaming. Our next painting is Whistler's Mother. Whistler's Mother by James McNeill Whistler is famously known as an American icon, or even as the Victorian Mona Lisa. The quiet scene alongside the muted colors bring the viewers into the realm of the painting. It's said that Whistler originally had planned another model to come in, and when she didn't, his mother sat in. It was originally planned as a standing pose, but because his mother couldn't stand for extended periods of time, she is depicted sitting. The Milkmaid by Vermeer. We are presented with the scene of a maid fastidiously preparing bread pudding. She is in the middle of her job, concentrating hard, the barest of smiles on her lips. And we as viewers can't help but give in to the Mona Lisa effect. What is she thinking? Vermeer used ultramarine for the blue pigment in this. Ultramarine is derived from the very expensive and rare lapis lazuli, so Vermeer likely had a rich patron. Our next painting is American Gothic by Grant Wood. When Grant Wood painted American Gothic, he had initially been taken in by the house in the background. The people in the foreground are what Wood fancied are the type of people who live in that house should look like. The woman is modeled after his sister, and the man after their dentist. They are depicted as a father and daughter, but the common interpretation is that they're married. Our last piece today is Woman with a Hat by Henri Matisse. Woman with a Hat by Matisse is a painting of his wife. Instead of using realistic colors to render her, he used bright saturated colors, expressing how he felt about the subject matter. This would be another painting that ushered in the style of fauvism. That brings our 10 paintings of faces to an end. Hopefully, this was a good example of showing all the different faces through art history. We hope you learned something interesting from this. Thank you.